This is Bad Movies We Love, part of the Shice Podcast Network.
If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.
Hello, Bad Movie lovers, and welcome to a special Friday presentation of Bad Movies We Love. I am your host, Nick Scheist.
The master of this stupid stuff!
We are nearing the end of the first month of 2026, and whether you've been here from the beginning in Season 1 or you're just hopping on the train right now here in Season 5, thank you for being here. Starting this season, there are going to be 2 new additions to the main feed. Number 1, Bad Movies Monthly, a once-a-month recap episode looking back at the theme and the movies we covered during the month, and then scoping out the current release landscape for any new movies that may fit the mold for future episodes of the show. And number 2, we're going to be doing On the Bubble. So once a month, a movie whose score falls just outside the scoring criteria will get a special Bad Movies We Love exemption to be included on the show's lineup for the month. And for January, the theme is sci-fi, so that pick is going to be the TV movie Not Quite Human, which clocks in with a Bad Movies We Love score of 63.25. And there is also going to be a new Filmmaker in Focus episode with writer, director, actress Cillian Lee talking about her new movie, Paying for It, plus the first Bad Movies Monthly and the Bad Movies We Love 2025 recap are both still on the way, so the main feed is packed for the rest of January. Over at the Resistance members only tier, there is a new Bimon Sci-Fi Con episode up where we talk about Adam McKay's 2021 Don't Look Up. There is also a new rom-comathon on the way talking about The Family Stone. And while I don't have a Bad Movie Futures episode lined up for January, the first ever Good Movies We Love is going to be launching in February at the Resistance members only tier. So check out the show notes for sign-up details. And for this special Friday episode, I was joined by Betsy and Trent from the Never Seen It podcast to talk about a movie from a filmmaker I love. In fact, he made my favorite movie. We're talking about the style, the sex appeal, and the social commentary of Andrew Niccol's In Time from 2011. And we hope that you'll have a good time with the episode. Yeah! Pew pew! We're having so much fun.
In Time screams.
It fits the bill.
Hotel movie.
Are you in the mood for 2/3 of a great movie?
So try it again and do it better.
I've got to be a damn time cop. It's the only thing I've got.
The movie bludgeons you to death with its time bomb.
All named after watches, too, because the movie's about time.
Literally the whole point of this movie is to cast the youngest, most beautiful people in Hollywood.
There's a lot of running in this movie, and people have contended that it's the most running of any movie.
Less running. It takes up entirely too much of the runtime of the movie.
Us old heads are like, I just want to watch these 2 guys talk about how shitty life is.
Him living for 100+ years and his brain is, or his mind is aging enough that I just don't want to live anymore.
For a few to be immortal, many must die. What the hell's that supposed to mean? You really don't know, do you? Everyone can't live forever. Where would we put them? Why do you think there are time zones? Why do you think taxes and prices go up the same day in the ghetto? Cost of living keeps rising to make sure people keep dying. How else could there be men with 1 million years while most live day to day? The truth is, there's more than enough. No one has to die before their time. If you had as much time as I have, what would you do with it? If I had all that time, I sure as hell wouldn't waste it.
Very important to make sure that the timekeeper is active. I'm joined today by Betsy and Trent from Never Seen It podcast. Welcome, finally.
Finally.
Thank you.
We've only had to reschedule a handful of times.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, though, I think we only, I only really actively started scheduling like end of last year. Like we talked about it probably a year ago. And I was like, yeah, I know that I need to reach out to them about scheduling this. And then I was like, well, I'm not doing sci-fi yet. And so just kind of just like kicking the can down the road. And then when I finally asked, it was like, oh, now you're busy. So we were able to reschedule, but we got everything settled. It's still going to come out. It's going to be a special Friday release though. So it's not going to be a Monday show. But yeah, we're here and we're going to make it happen. So welcome.
I love it. 2026, new year, new us.
Yeah. I want to ask you both quickly, for people that maybe listen to the show and have not listened to your show, when did you start the podcast, and sort of where did the idea, spark from?
Well, we are married. And so, of course, when you're getting to know a person, the thing that comes out very quickly with me is I love movies. And it's not that Trent doesn't like movies. It's just that he doesn't like movies the same way that I have experienced movies my whole life. So when we started dating, it was like, hey, you should watch this movie. You should watch that movie. And it became something we bonded over. And then, like many people, when 2020 hit and suddenly the world screeched to a halt, we had been joking about doing a podcast for I don't know how many years.
Yeah, many friends and family have had suggested it to us, like, hey, you guys have really great conversations between the two of you. I mean, hey, yeah, we are married, of course. I would hope so. But like just the conversations that we would have about a certain topic would just keep on going on. And at a certain point, we're just doing a show for people in the room. And, like most people who start a podcast, it's just people who are friends, and my wife and I are best friends, so it just makes sense. But we started the podcast. We're coming up now on our 5th year anniversary in March, and also along with that in May, our first episode in May will be episode number 400.
Wow!
So that will have been 400 movies that we have watched.
Wow, you're really pumping them out. I just started season 5, and I'm nowhere near 400.
Yeah.
Well, when we started, we were doing like 2 a week because we were insane.
2 movies per week we put out every Sunday and every Wednesday. And then about year 3, we're like, we need to cut back on this, or at least we need to start making some money. So instead we put out 1 episode a week plus 1 more premium for the people who actually want to pay us.
Yeah. So we do a Patreon the rest of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like movies, like how we got into the topic of that was our podcast is a reaction podcast. So we pick a movie that the only rule, there's just one rule. It has to be new to one of us. So we try to find movies that neither of us have seen. But as I said, I've watched a lot of movies, so it's more this guy here. But yeah, we do a little introduction. What do you know about the movie? What do you think you know about the movie?
Yep.
We go watch the movie and then we sit down and record. It's like maybe 10, 15 minutes tops between finishing the movie and recording.
That's smart. Sometimes for me, it's like, oh, I watched this movie like a month ago, and I can rely on my notes, and I don't really want to spend the time refreshing it to watch it again. But getting better about staying on top of timeliness.
Whenever we do a guest spot, I have a hard time doing the recording the following day. Like we literally rewatched this movie that we're going to talk about today last night. And I'm going to have a hard enough time reacting to it and talking about it the next night.
Even though it's one you've seen many times.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, that's the whole idea. We are reacting to it immediately. We maybe take a 10-minute break between credits and going to the bathroom, getting a drink of water, and sitting down here to record the podcast.
It's the worst when we go to the theater because we have to sit in the car and drive home in silence.
Yeah, we cannot talk about the movie on the way home.
Don't cannibalize the content.
We'll save it for the recording.
I know that well. My wife and I had done a movie podcast for a while. Now we've pivoted. She's more of a TV person, so we've kind of switched gears so that I can do something where she's very passionate about it, and I just sort of lend my technical expertise and snarkiness to that. And when she was doing the movie podcast with me, it was more of like a weekly recap, but we would go see movies. And then, on the way home, it's like, no, shush, we can't talk about this right now. Yeah. You got to save it for Friday when we've seen everything that we're going to see. So I know the struggle, but I want to give you the chance now to at least introduce the movie that we are talking about. Granted, anybody who's pushed play on this episode or is looking at my face on the video will know that we are talking about a particular movie.
Well, Trent, do you want to take the honors?
Well, we actually saw this movie in the theater. We started dating in August of 2011, the same year this movie came out. So we saw this in the theater within, I don't know, a few months. Dating.
It came out in October. So I think it was like one of the first road trips we had taken. We were out of town. We had a night free. We said, let's go to a movie. And this is what we picked.
Of the limited selection of wherever we happened to be, we saw this movie.
And here you are 15 years later. So it must have been good.
I mean,
good enough.
Here's the thing about In Time. The thing that I have always told people about this movie is that it is a fantastic concept. I cannot tell you how many times I have repeated that exact phrase to people talking about this movie. And I wanted so deeply to love this movie and for it to be just this grand tale, but it just doesn't hit the landing.
It's like 2/3 of a great movie.
Yeah. Betsy and I talk about, there are a few movies that we put into this pantheon of 2/3 of a great movie. It's this one. It's Stripes, which is a great beginning, great middle. The end just ends with a wet fart, you know? What was the other one I said?
I don't remember.
Oh gosh, I have it on
I hope you wrote it down because I don't remember.
I did. Oh, no, it was those two. I was racking my brain. There was another one out there somewhere, but I cannot remember. But yeah, 2/3 of a great movie is this movie, and I just every time I watch it, I want to like it more, and I think I do. I think I do like this movie more and more the more times I watch it.
Because we keep coming back to it. Like we're trying to solve the puzzle of In Time. We're like, we liked it. We liked it enough anyway in the theater. And we just keep seeing it. Like we've seen this at least half a dozen times.
Oh yeah.
Since we saw it that first time. And yeah, it's just the structure. It's so close. It's so close. And we couldn't quite get it over the finish line. It's just got some problems is all. Like many of these movies that you cover, I'm sure. The concept is solid. It's all about the execution. It's different details in between.
Yeah, and I think maybe with sci-fi movies that burden is higher because the concept is already something that should be kind of intriguing because you're looking at either the very distant future, the not too distant future, something that's going to change the way society is. So I think that kind of broad thinking notion sort of puts you in a position as the viewer where you're holding it maybe to an unfair standard. I mean, maybe it's not even unfair, but there's something there. And that's why I like doing Sci-Fi Month to kick off the beginning of every year, because I want to think about the future and, well, maybe not too much because it gets scary sometimes, but I want to think about sort of how people visualize the future. And it's one of my favorite things about how sort of movies over time have changed their visualization of what the future is going to be. And
Absolutely.
how those goalposts continue to move as the decades go on. But I'm going to go into a little bit of the details here. This was written and directed by Andrew Niccol, who directed my favorite film, actually, in Gattaca. And he also wrote The Truman Show. He did Lord of War and The Terminal as well. So,
love Lord of War.
Yeah, we love Lord of War.
And as a big Nick Cage fan, it's like a double whammy. So I really love Andrew Niccol in general. This movie stars Justin Timberlake, Amanda Seyfried, which I'm on a random like kind of Seyfried kick because I had seen The Last Testament of Anne Lee, and then I came home and I watched this, and then I went and saw The Housemaid. So like randomly, like a bunch of her movies together at the same time, completely unplanned, but interesting experience, completely probably a whole topic for a different episode. And also this movie stars Cillian Murphy, featuring Olivia Wilde, Johnny Galecki, Matt Bomer, Ray Santiago, and Alex Pettyfer. So a good cast, a good concept, as we mentioned. The execution, is good enough for most of the movie, I would say. This is a movie that I didn't see in theaters, but it's a movie that I saw on cable. And then when it was on, I would just be like flipping through channels. Oh, there it is. And I'll watch
Oh,
2/3 of it. Right. And
that
it was
is
one of
that is
those
our
movies.
test.
Yeah, we have a test that we call the hotel test. So we don't have cable in the house. We've never had cable except like when I was a kid at home. But when we travel and we're in a hotel room and we're just killing time before we go to sleep at the end of the night, if we're flipping through channels and we see something in the guide, even if it's halfway through, we'll say, "Oh, we'll watch this movie. I've already seen it once. I don't care about all the plot. I just want to see the rest of it because I liked the movie."
And yeah, In Time screams
It fits the bill.
Hotel movie. So that's the perfect choice you made.
Yeah, because it has, I think, like the visual style, like it's a competently made film. Like it looks good. Exactly.
Roger Deakins did this movie. I did not know that until yesterday. And I'm just like, I've seen this movie half a dozen times, and I didn't appreciate that one of the greatest living cinematographers did In Time. How is that possible? I don't know.
Yeah, it has all the hallmarks of other better movies that I like. I even would go as far as to say that this is probably my favorite role for Justin Timberlake. Granted, he's not like a super well-traveled actor, and he's been good in some other things, but this is probably my favorite role of his because it actually like wants him to be the lead. It's removed him from the sort of more childish boy band phase. Like they're placing a lot of adult responsibility in his hands with the character design. And so for me, I like seeing that. I love Cillian Murphy. So him being the like kind of on again, off again villain. I don't know. He's not really a villain. He's just a dude doing his job. He's just sort of doing a really bad job. He's doing a good job of being a person doing a bad job, if that makes sense.
When we were talking about it last night, Justin Timberlake, to me, I think he is an okay actor, but he has one speed. Like a lot of these guys who don't really have like classical training when it comes to acting, he's good when he is playing one kind of role. And I think you're right. When he is of the movies that I have seen of his, this is his best one.
Yeah, well, it works for me. I mean, it was coming at a time too where I don't know if the idea was to cross over more sort of like singer-songwriters. Like I think Mandy Moore was, I don't remember exactly when A Walk to Remember was, but so she had made that transition as well. So I don't know if it was just like opportunities arise, they take it. Beyonce, I don't remember exactly when that Austin Powers movie is, but it's like bands and musicians maybe from that same era were starting to cross over into music, just like for the purposes of having sellability. So look, I'm not going to begrudge Andrew Niccol for casting Timberlake in this movie. I feel like with the benefit of hindsight, though, Cillian Murphy and Amanda Seyfried are by far sort of the two most skilled actors in the film. And Cillian Murphy doesn't get to do as much as I would have liked to see from him, knowing more about the rest of his career. And I think I would say the same about Seyfried in this. But what about you?
You kind of forget in 2011, Cillian Murphy still wasn't that big a deal.
Yeah.
Like people were still kind of figuring out his whole thing. Like, yes, he was in the Batman movies. He'd already done 2 of them. And he shows up in the 3rd one, doesn't come out for another year. But he was sort of flying under the radar. If you had been paying attention, you knew who he was. He had done like Red Eye, where he plays a villain. He had done Sunshine a couple of years before this. And yeah, he's proving in this movie he is doing the most with the material. He is a good actor, and you can see that he's a good actor.
Yeah, and I would say Cillian is more, I think of him as the guy who always comes in second place. Like he was right there to almost be Batman.
Yeah.
But he just didn't get over the finish line. And finally, they got him something with the Oppenheimer movie where he can really show everybody his stuff.
Yeah, because he had been working sort of in non-mainstream, non-American cinema, doing really good work. But yeah, in terms of crossing over into like a mainstream star, it took I don't know, 2 decades between 28 Days Later and Oppenheimer for like him to actually sort of pierce that membrane. I mean, I'm really happy for him. He's one of those actors where pretty much whatever he wants to do, I'm interested in the project because of how I see him do interviews, because of how I see him perform. He strikes me as someone who doesn't take himself like too seriously as an actor, but he's always very interested in the roles that he's taking. And even hearing him speak about this, he was very interested in the timekeeper role, um, but in a way that I think gave more thought to that character than we actually get out of the film itself.
And that's what's the interesting thing about it is he's playing a guy who's like 100 years old, but he's a 100-year-old man in a younger man's body. And that's a lot of people in this movie, which does give you nuance to the different people and trying to look at, everybody's supposed to be the same age, but that's his mother-in-law and that's his daughter and this is his wife and that's your mother, but everybody looks the same.
Yeah, beyond the generational weirdness that comes in with that whole concept. When Matt Bomer has his speech there sitting on the couch at the beginning of the movie saying, yeah, I look like I'm 25, even though he was much older than that in real life.
Older than that.
Betsy has a real problem with the ages of the real actors in the movie, but we'll get to that. But in that speech, he's talking about, I am 100-some-year-old man. We are not meant to be on this earth for that long. We are meant to live. We are meant to die. And the mind is what is aged about these people, not the body, because the body will, I guess, remain. I mean, we can maybe talk about the sci-fi-ness of this and the concept of, okay, nobody ages now. How the hell did that happen? But he says the mind is not meant to go on like this, and I am choosing to end it.
Yeah, so he is playing it older. Cillian Murphy is playing. They reflect the weight of the lives that they have lived. Which, yeah, in a movie that's kind of silly when you break it down a lot, there's moments like that where it's like, yeah, that's really interesting. And you can see as actors them portraying this. Cillian Murphy is tired of doing this job.
Yeah.
But he knows he's good at it and it's what he's getting paid to do. So he's going to keep the peace.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask both of you this because it's something that popped up to me, I guess, in the most recent rewatch was I think one of the main sort of tipping points for me with what steers this movie away from maybe greatness is that I feel like Justin Timberlake, is not the most interesting character in the movie. And I don't even have him probably in the top 3 most interesting characters in the movie. And he is still so much of the focal point for the film that like we're meant to view the experience of that world through his character. However, the thing that I find fascinating is the older people who have lived into their hundreds, like well past their expiration date, well past like regular human expiration date, and are grappling with what it means to be alive at that age. And it's something that fascinates me with vampire mythology too, is that you have certain vampires that are like very power hungry, that want to sort of like move in the shadows and like, world domination type of villainy and just live forever. And then there's other vampires that are like, I've been alive for 200 years and everybody I loved has died and this sucks and I want out, so please kill me. And so we get that with Matt Bomer and then he's gone. And then we have some of that at play with Philippe, but he's, I don't know, like 3rd or 4th in terms of actual like screen time. And we get much more of his daughter who like also doesn't really know what it means to be old and dealing with that burden. And so the character that we can actually like interact with in that way is Cillian Murphy. And then he doesn't really give us too much of that either until like the very, very end where they finally have a conversation. And he dies 5 seconds later.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think what you're saying here is that the focus here is on the 2 main characters.
Yes.
Who are like 28 and 27, I think, in real age in the movie. So you don't like, it's the young people who are pushing back against the system because they can see the disconnect between the old and the young, but it's such a bigger gap. Like you think about the generational gap in real life between, Betsy and I are in our early 40s and we have kind of older boomer parents. And there is such a generational gap in just the way we think about things. I mean, what is it that we were talking about this last night too? The father here is in his hundreds and has a 28 or 27-year-old daughter. How does that work, number one? And what is the connection there? Like, why does he even want to have a daughter in the first place?
When he's like 70 years old.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, these are all great questions.
The other thing you're talking about, Justin Timberlake, that, you know, it bothers me that he's the first one ever to think that the system is bad. There's literally not one other person that has a problem with this whole system. It takes this guy's mom dying for him to say, you know what? I'm going to do something about it. But then we find out like maybe his dad was like this and we don't explore it enough to know what happened there. But yeah, you would think there'd be more of an underground uprising of some kind. Like nobody, not one person. Just Justin Timberlake. He's the only one that cares.
Yeah, and that's why I was kind of like pointing the fact that he is cast at a time where like it's popular to put people who were popular musicians into films at this time. And so I get the knee-jerk reaction to be like, we want to do that for the sake of selling the film and for having like young, attractive people in the lead.
Yeah, a bunch of young, hot people in the movie.
Yes.
And that's your in order to do that?
Great. Literally the whole point of this movie is to cast the youngest, most beautiful people in Hollywood. But that's also my problem with the movie.
And I think that's fair. But let me go to the tail of the tape quick so we can talk about where this falls on our scale. And so it has an IMDb of 6.7. It has a Metascore of 53. Rotten Tomatoes critic score of 36%, though. And a Rotten Tomatoes audience score of 51%. It's tracking well on Letterboxd with a 3 out of 5, which I think is like pretty good for Letterboxd standards. And then it has a Google users review of 75% thumbs up. So that's people like us that like threw it on in the background somewhere. And it's just like, yeah, it's good enough. But that gives us a Bad Movies We Love total score of 57 out of 100. So well within the ballpark for the kind of movies that we talk about here. And so I'm curious for you. You said it's 2/3 of a good movie, right? So I guess how good do you look at it? Is you've obviously come back to it many, many times. It's a movie that you said you've enjoyed more and more each time. It's a movie for me that it had been a long time between the last time I saw it and this time. And I feel like my perception of it got worse since the last time because more of the issues with the movie were apparent to me. Like the cool cars and the background and the costuming and the sexy young actors and all that stuff like kind of wore off. And I was like looking for the other deeper stuff that I was hoping was there. And I was like, oh, maybe it's not there.
See, I've been actually discovering the deeper stuff here.
Okay.
And I'm very much looking forward to talking about it with you. Because I think last night we saw the concept of, I mean, when you extrapolate out the high concept of the entire movie, you take that for what it is. This movie is really about redistribution of wealth, and it's about inflation.
Yeah.
And
always relevant topics.
All of the economic, all the economic levers that are being pulled by the rich and powerful in order to keep themselves rich and the poor poor. That's the deepest thing that I can really extrapolate from this movie.
That's fair. I think I thought in previous watches that the metaphor was better, that time is money and the swapping of currency, time as currency was deeper than it is. But really it's like all they did was like literally change the wording of like time to money. And now it's like, yeah, all the poor people are still poor. All the rich people are still rich. Like nothing actually changes other than everyone's like young and hot until they die at 26. So I was just like, I guess I was looking for more there because how Andrew Niccol handles it in Gattaca through eugenics and classism, like he's very interested obviously in these topics. And I think he still wants to do that here. And then it sort of just becomes like more of a Robin Hood movie than it is like a social commentary movie. And that's where I was like, oh, okay, this is maybe where I sort of softened on it a little bit from before. Not that I didn't enjoy it. I still like the movie and it still looks great. Like,
Yeah.
credit to Deakins, credit to Niccol. The movie still looks amazing. But yeah, like, I guess I just found the metaphor to be a little bit less formidable than I had in the past.
Yeah, when they set it up, it all makes sense. They get through a lot of information really quickly. You totally understand how this world works. And then there's just this turn where it kind of turns into Bonnie and Clyde, and it's like young, hot people on the run from the law. And they don't really have a plan. Like, it's not fully hashed out. And then the movie's just sort of over. Like, at a certain point, it's like, we did it, but we're not done.
There's that one scene where the father is standing in front of the big board in his office, and all of the map is filling up with, I don't know, mystery time going everywhere. And it's like, okay, the market is flooded with time, and that's the whole inflation thing where, hey, this currency that we are talking about here being time, this currency is now worthless to the people who have a lot of it.
And the people who didn't now have it, so they're not working. We can't make them work anymore because now they have all this time.
Yeah, and so just like replace time with money in that situation.
Yeah.
And poor people, if they had money, they wouldn't be working the way that they're working. You couldn't exploit the working class. So yeah, I understand that metaphor. And I think when we get into a little bit more of the detail, it might become a little bit more clear. But I'm going to go to set the table right now, because that will allow me to bridge the gap into that conversation. So Andrew Niccol's 2011 sci-fi thriller went through a few working titles before settling on its final name, and casting came together in the mid-2010s when Amanda Seyfried and Justin Timberlake took on lead roles, and then Cillian Murphy joined shortly after that. The film was distributed by then 20th Century Fox and New Regency, with Strike Entertainment producing, and it marked a milestone for legendary cinematographer Roger Deakins, who shot the movie digitally for the first time ever in his career.
Wow.
Stylistically, In Time leaned heavily into retrofuturism, a look and tone reminiscent of Niccol's earlier work on Gattaca, and he's even called this the bastard child of Gattaca. The film also faced a legal hiccup when sci-fi author Harlan Ellison filed a lawsuit claiming similarities to his short story Repent, Harlequin Said the TikTok Man, which also features a dystopian society where people's lifespans are regulated by a timekeeper. That suit initially sought to block release of the film, but was later amended to request just a writing credit. But ultimately, Ellison voluntarily dismissed the case after seeing the film with no payment or credit granted. In Time thus emerged as a visually striking, idea-driven thriller that combines Niccol's fascination with social inequality and time as currency, wrapped in a retrofuturistic package and with just a touch of real-world drama behind the scenes. It ended up grossing $12 million on its opening weekend, which you two contributed to, debuting at number 3, behind Puss in Boots and Paranormal Activity 3. The film eventually grossed over $37 million in the US and $136 million internationally, for a worldwide total of $173.9 million, making it a success.
Yeah.
Ultimately, kind of an oddly forgotten film.
Yeah, there's nothing here that is going to make people go, oh, you know, a great movie that you've got to watch, unless you're us. And we're not going to describe it as a great movie. We're going to say, do you like these kinds of things? Then maybe give this one a try. You're probably not going to love it. You might like it. It's not a wasted evening.
Are you in the mood for 2/3 of a great movie? We've got just the recommendation.
Got one for you.
So there's something in that like details read that I wanted to pick up on. So Niccol said that this is the bastard child of Gattaca. And I think visually you see it. And then listening to him talk about it, what he was saying was that when he was thinking about Gattaca and he was in the eugenics mode and genetic engineering, he was like, the ultimate thing for genetic engineering would be to remove the aging gene and just turn off aging. Like, that's going to be the thing. And so I think he wanted to include something about that in Gattaca and was just like not quite there at the time. And he thought like, hey, this is a bigger concept, and then developed it into this. And at the time, this movie's coming, I think, after Lord of War and The Terminal. So like, he's having success. It's probably easier for him to get this greenlit at the time than it was at the time where he's making Gattaca. So he's like sort of picking up this idea that he had almost more than a decade. No, not quite a decade. Yeah, a little bit more, actually. Yeah.
12, 13 years.
Yeah, this old idea that like he kind of had and wanted to build on. And then it's like, all right, well, we're attaching these two young stars to it. We're getting like all the things are in motion. And it seems like just the thing that make Gattaca interesting to me is that it's so focused sort of on the two characters, maybe the three, if you include Uma Thurman, but like the three of them, it's really just boiled down to them and their experience. And in this, like you're getting so many more characters, but you're not getting nearly as much depth for any one of them individually. And so when you're missing the depth on those characters, you do have a very like stylistically pleasing film. But yeah, I feel like you could sort of make like a sequel or a movie that's like happening at the same time in the same world that would be more interesting to me to flesh out some of like the most interesting concepts.
Yeah. And then there's characters, there's that entire subplot of Trent refers to him as the time bandit, the guy, the Alex Pettyfer character.
Because we need
He's
gangsters.
introduced at the beginning, and then we go away from him, but we keep showing him, but we don't really understand much about him. It feels like he's literally only there for the setup of the climactic scene at the end. Like we have to see this arm wrestling thing that they do where they're going to steal each other's time. You know, we have to, we've been talking about it the whole movie. We got to show it. He's not a well-rounded character. He's just a thug in this ghetto. That's what he is.
But you know, I'm sure he has a backstory that would be interesting.
But they don't explore. They don't give you any reasons for it. He's just a guy who bosses people around and bullies them into giving them their time.
Yeah, and then you think about a movie like The Hunger Games, where it's a very same concept when it comes to the divisions of society, where you get a little taste, at the very least, you get a little taste of each individual zone in The Hunger Games. You get none of that in time.
Yeah. All you know is that the cost goes up to go through zones. But look, there's a reason that the Hunger Games are still being made. What are we on 6 now coming out this year?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Because there's more of that world to explore. And I think that new people taking on the project or taking on like the helm of that title are like, where can I go in this world that hasn't been gone before? And I think, you know, there was the Maze Runner, and then there was also Allegiant, right? And so I think those really capitalized on what this movie like had the potential to tap into. But this movie's like a little too adult, and all of those are kind of like young adult stories that like became super popular, and that might be the thing that like didn't get this one to really tip into that popularity zone.
And this is also the same time. So those books were out, but they were developing the movies. Hunger Games came out in 2012, and I think Allegiant came out the following year, or Divergent, or whatever that one was called. But yeah, this could have gotten swept up in that wave if it had come out like a year later. But because it is like slightly older people than those movies are, I think that's also going to knock it down a couple of pegs.
Yeah, teenagers don't care about what 25-year-olds are worried about or 125-year-old people are worried about.
The only thing they would care about maybe is Justin Timberlake. But frankly, we cared more about Justin Timberlake as millennials who grew up in the 90s.
And we were in our mid-20s.
Than actual teenagers who in 2011, NSYNC hadn't been a band in a decade.
Yeah.
And also, like, poker was big at the time, so they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna just like put poker in here because that's what rich people do. They gamble with their time." You know, I felt like, you know, the time wrestling, I'll call it, with the little like the arm wrestling thing. That's an interesting way to gamble in this world, and it is the future. Like, it's well into the future too. So, is like Texas Hold'em or whatever kind of poker they're playing really going to be the most popular thing just because it was popular at the time on television in the 2010s? Like, I love poker, but like every sort of movie was like starting to incorporate that as like, oh, this is the hot thing. So it feels like a movie that kind of just started to pile up like popular things rather than like figuring out like which ones of those work and don't work and make sense and why they're in the movie.
There's one of the thugs in the gang that wears a fedora, and I wanted to slap
the fedora with the feather.
That is like the most dated 2000s thing to have thrown in this movie.
One of the things that bothered me is when Justin Timberlake is asked, "Okay, well, what's your game?" when he goes to gamble. What's your game? Poker. Just generic poker.
We're supposed to understand.
Not like, Texas Hold'em,
not high card, not whatever the other names of poker are. I don't gamble. Just poker.
Yeah, I guess like in a dystopian future, what would rich people gamble on? I think other imaginings have been like, oh, it's like human cockfighting or like death racing or something like that. Or like
this is like a sophisticated future where we're careful. Like everybody is so careful. You can live, they say it, you will live forever as long as you're not reckless. So the only thing they can be reckless with is their gambling.
Yeah, it also, I don't know, it seems like murder is not super popular in this world where it's like, yeah, I am surprised there's not just more like straight up violent muggings for time when you know
plenty
that
of guns though.
Yeah, plenty of guns because guns look cool on screen. Even Timberlake in the interview, he's like, yeah, boys and our toys, I want to drive fast and shoot guns in a safe environment. So it feels like there's almost like too much of that kind of enthusiasm for a movie that really, from this writer and this director who is into intellectual sci-fi, to be like, we're making sort of like a music video sci-fi type of movie. And like, I think it's fair for him to have done this in his career if that was like really the intent. And I'm just curious because a lot of the interviews that I've seen, even the ones with him, like at Comic-Con, there's some like red carpet interviews and they're like 2 minutes long and he's just like kind of casually throwing in the plot. And it's like, he's not really like speaking on it. So I need to maybe look harder for a better interview, but I found one with Collider. And that too is like the end of the interview is like, I gotta go, bye. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, so for a writer and director who I really, really like, I'm curious how much he ultimately likes this movie and what the final product was. And I haven't been able to really like see an answer on that.
It also begs the question, how much of it is the version he initially imagined?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what did he actually write and what movie actually got made? Because those two things are rarely the same thing.
Very, very true. And I'm sure like when you're starting to get like financing and people are like, all right, well, I'm going to give you the money, but the condition is Justin Timberlake's in the movie.
Yeah.
So
and
like,
nobody's going to believe him. He's the guy who knows all this like highfalutin language and sci-fi language. We have to make him just a guy. So tone it down.
I mean, one of the cool things that you could have done with a guy who's like from the slums, but he's in this rich environment where everybody's very hoity-toity, like make him dance. Like maybe he's the best dancer and it like rubs everybody the wrong way because none of the old rich people like can actually dance. Granted, they've had 100 years to learn how to dance and they still haven't just because that's who they are. And so maybe with Dancing with the Daughter, like you get a little bit of that and you get some Timberlake flair in there. I'm sure he doesn't want to do that at this point in his career. But yeah, as a fan, I'm like, hey, that would have made the movie stand out a little bit more than it did, or at least give his character a little bit more flair and pizzazz. Because with Pettyfer, like, we were talking about why he's in the movie, right? Because he's sort of like the dark half of what Cillian Murphy's character is. But the two of them are competing for space that there's really only enough oxygen for one of them to be in the film. And I kind of like the gangster side of it more because I feel like in the slums, in the streets, in this environment, there's going to be violent time robberies. And that guy's doing that stuff. And it's like, it's only him and his friends that do it. Like he only robs from the poor and he keeps it out. So it's like there's some weird stuff there, and there's a lot of backstory I really want.
That's what I'm saying is there's like one guy doing this thing. There's one guy having an uprising. There's one guy robbing people. There's not like rival gangs. It's like 6 guys. That's it.
Yeah, there's a mention here that Pettyfer says that the timekeepers allow him to continue doing this.
Yeah.
Like there's an interesting just side story there.
Yeah, because he's
what
obviously
is that relationship between the cops and the robbers?
Yeah, he's obviously run into Cillian Murphy's character like before. Like they have a pre-established sort of understanding of who's going to be robbing who, and as long as you stay within your district. And then like you don't have the budget on this movie to really go from district to district, so you spend that entire scene with him in the limo just like spending time to get to the place that he needs to go, only to like stand out like a sore thumb. And it's like, all right, that old saying, like, my money's as green as anybody else's, or something like that. So for him, would they really even let him like integrate into that society at any level just because he had the time to spend? It feels like they've curated that environment very carefully for themselves. And so the Robin Hooding of the situation of like maybe he's taking on somebody else's identity to get in there makes a little bit more sense. I don't know. I mean,
I like the fish out of water thing with him in that world because everybody notices him immediately after he gets out of that limo. they notice him running. Nobody else runs in this entire zone. And when he's sitting down for breakfast, the waitress says, "You do things a little bit faster than anybody else. So clearly you're not from here." I wanted them to do more of that.
And then after that is when he finally starts basically acting like somebody else.
Yeah.
He slows down, he stiffens up, and he, like at the gambling, when he's betting all that time and he's getting his clock down to almost zero, he's just so stone-faced and like, I can fit in and bluff like the best of you, even though I know that if I make this bet, I'm literally going to die.
Risking his entire life on a gut shot straight. Insanity.
Yeah.
Right.
And the clock is going down. Call, for crying out loud. I'm going crazy here.
What do you say we do some synopsis haikus right now? We talked a lot about this movie already, but I'm curious to see how we boiled it down into 17 syllables.
Oh, I made multiple versions because I love a dumb poem.
We like
Awesome.
this challenge.
We like this challenge.
Perfect. All right. Well, it's your first time here. I'm going to go first. That way I will break the ice. Okay. Youth is novelty. When it's clear time is money. TikTok Robin Hood.
Nice. I like it.
I feel like I give like a good safety net for everything.
Well, I'll do mine. Time is currency. Some Bonnie and Clyde nonsense. So many time puns.
I'll do mine.
I like that.
Everyone is hot.
Yeah.
Who has time for a girlfriend? ? Justin Timberlake.
Oh, wow. Very well done. Thank you very much for participating. We're going to go to the trailer in just a second, but I know we've already probably like spoiled a lot of this movie, which is fine. Spoilers in abundance around here. But
people who listen to movie podcasts should have come to understand that's how these work.
Yeah, if you're listening to this show and you haven't watched the movie, then I mean, I hope you're having a good laugh with us, but you may not get some of the jokes. So it's probably to your benefit to go ahead and watch the movie beforehand. But I want you to sort of speculate as to why this movie is generally perceived to be a bad movie. Obviously, all of us like it. You've even said it's 2/3 of a great movie, which I think is better than 1/3 or 0/3 of a great movie. So why do you think the general reception for this movie is negative?
One, I think something you've kind of been touching on, if we're leaning into true sci-fi, there's a difference between really well fleshed out sci-fi that needs to be explained and shoot 'em up sci-fi.
Yeah.
And this is kind of one and kind of the other. It doesn't know how to pick a lane. Like if it was totally just nonsense, I mentioned Demolition Man at some point while we were talking last night. I was like, that movie is nonsense, but it knows it's nonsense. So in that world, we can get down with all this ridiculous future sci-fi stuff because it's the kind of movie it wants to be.
Yeah.
In time, can't decide if we're robbing banks or it's Justin Timberlake being cool, driving cars and seducing women, or, it's the, take down the 1%. Like it doesn't quite know exactly what it wants to be. It doesn't grab one concept and just ride with it the whole movie.
Yeah, I wanted it to be like a Blade Runner, where you're plopped into this world. It's giving you the voiceover at the very beginning. Like Justin Timberlake is telling you what this world is. And I think they almost get there with explaining the genetic changes and implanting of the clock in the arm and the mechanics of, okay, when it comes to 20, when you hit 25, you get a jolt in your body and your clock starts to go down and you can't use that time until you reach 25. It's just plot dumping on you very, very quickly. And once that's out of the way, then we get to have fun. That's where they throw in all of the time puns. That's when they start shooting guns. That's when we start having sexy times. All that stuff at the beginning gets in the way of the fun I think he wanted to have.
Yeah, and I think to your point, like it's okay to have like sort of a dumb, fun sci-fi movie. That's
Sure.
that's totally cool.
But it's really jarring when you're trying to do both, when you're trying to maybe have it be a serious sci-fi movie at the very beginning, but then it turns into something else and you're maybe disappointed.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Yeah, I don't think any of the performances are particularly poor. I don't think the story is necessarily bad. Obviously, the movie looks great. I think the music is solid. So yeah, it's got to just be like a disconnection between what the movie maybe like had the potential to be and what the movie ended up wanting to be. Or when studios get involved and you're gonna spend $40 million on a project like this, yeah, people are getting pulled in different directions. So like you said earlier, who knows what the original movie was going to be before,
Right.
people
I
got
can
involved.
offer one more thought, and this is very personal to me, and I don't know when else to bring it up, so I will just say it here.
Please do.
I mentioned it before. The concept of the movie is you turn 25 and you stay 25 forever. And Justin Timberlake is 30 years old in this movie. Olivia Wilde is 27. Matt Bomer is 33. Cillian Murphy is 34. Johnny Galecki is 36. I have a
And
real
looks 50.
problem. I have a real problem with if you are going to set up this world where you stay young and beautiful forever. I'm sorry. I love Cillian Murphy, but he does not look 25. In this movie, he does not look like a 25-year-old. And we were having an argument about this last night. But if you're somebody like me who is watching this movie that I'm already struggling to buy in, and I have to suspend my disbelief, I'm sorry, but I cannot suspend my disbelief that much when I know these people don't look what I understand 25 to be. At the time this movie came out, I was 26. Okay, so I should look up on the screen and see the most young, beautiful people. Like it could have been done. If you went completely in that direction, it would be a very different movie. If every single person truly was 25. The only people who are, Alex Pettyfer was like 21, and Amanda Seyfried was 25. She's the threshold. Everyone else, I'm sorry, it's going to bother me if you say these are the rules and you immediately break the rule. It's one rule.
My counterpart to that.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay, think about the living conditions of this zone. I can't remember what the zone number is, 12, whatever. The people in this zone are living hard lives, and we've talked about people. If you look at somebody's yearbook who was born in 1945, you look at their yearbook and they look like they are 35 or 40. And when you live a hard life, like the Johnny Galecki guy, he's had a hard life. He drinks himself into a stupor. Even though your body isn't aging, it ages it just ages you.
No. The whole thing they say is they turned off the aging gene. They turned it off.
That's the natural aging gene.
I don't care.
No one will question this.
This is my fundamental flaw of the movie is if you say we're 25 and we don't age, then you don't age. That's it. You can't tell me it's different for the rich and the poor. Like if it's all genetically modified, the rules apply to everybody. I don't care about your living conditions. And that's a big concept argument for why this movie fails. But It bothers me. It has bothered me since 2011.
Well, I think to your point, the sort of hard out at 25 doesn't necessarily impact the story in the way that it should, because I think you can still have a world where time is currency and people are young, but you have to like spend that time to stay young. I feel like that's a more interesting concept because then you're not just playing with like a direct sort of one-to-one analogy of like minutes are dollars now. So it's like, yeah, this person is sort of like forever young, but maybe you're not forever young and rich. It's like there's got to be a trade-off somewhere. And I think you can maybe expand into more of the actual like social commentary you want to get into if you begin to get away from the attachment to like this has to have like a sort of real world translation in a one-to-one kind of way.
Yeah, and that's why the gap between zone 12 and zone 1 or whatever it is, it has to be that big gap, because if you're only living in one of the middle zones, you can't have that contrast.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. All right, well, let's take a look at the trailer, which, despite my many times, not 400 episodes, but definitely in the hundreds, I still have not pulled up the trailer for the movie yet. So I'm going to do that right now, and then we will get
fully prepared.
Yeah, I'm glad we
Fully
actually
prepared.
have watched this since 2011.
We haven't.
So
We also
Perfect.
didn't prepare.
yeah,
perfect. That's exactly what I want, because we need to see it fresh right now. Before we get to the trailer, it's time for a quick commercial from the multiverse. Are the timekeepers getting you down? Are you tired of looking over your shoulder for those pesky Minutemen looking to clean your clock? Well, now you can avoid the hassle thanks to ChronoClear. ChronoClear is a daily, once-a-day injectable that zeroes out your clock without stopping your heart, so you can live your miserable day-to-day existence in peace without anyone knowing just how much time you're carrying, the way God intended. Just dial up the daily dose in the handy applicator and inject it into the base of your clock. But make sure that you stay on schedule, because you don't want to be caught in public with too much time on your hands. Order now and ChronoClear will throw in a free month for every year's supply you buy. But act fast, because this limited time offer expires soon. ChronoClear, so you can have the best time in no time at all. And now, back to the show.
Allow me to introduce my mother-in-law, Clara, my wife, Michelle, and my daughter, Sylvia.
Whoa, where's the rest?
Never met the quota.
My units are up from last week.
So is the quota.
Inflation.
Just once, I'd like to wake up with more time on my hand than hours in the day.
How old are you?
28.
I'm 105. But the day comes when you've had enough. If you had as much time as I have, what would you do with it?
Sure as hell wouldn't waste it.
Proceeds to buy a sports car.
This is such a 2000s trailer with this music.
The last time anyone saw him alive, there was over a century on that clock.
Well, follow the time.
His name is Will Salas.
You can't hide 100 years in the ghetto.
You know that time will get you killed.
Hey, Mom, I'm gonna get out of here.
I just wouldn't know what to do if I lost you.
I don't believe we've had the pleasure of your company before, Mr.
Salas. Will Salas.
I'm sorry to have to break up the party, Mr. Weiss. I just need to work with your friend.
This is my death.
Please take me home.
Can't do that.
Why?
You're keeping me alive. How can you live with yourself watching
Color
people die
graded
right
like
next to you?
Gattaca.
You don't watch. You close your eyes.
I'm gonna make
Yeah,
them pay.
again,
I'm gonna
2000.
take them for everything they've got.
Come on, help yourselves.
Take the time, it's free.
You put enough time in the wrong hands, you upset the whole system.
Let's hope so. If this works,
Got an
we gotta get
external
more.
hard drive
I can
filled
help you
with
get all the time
minutes.
you want.
You know we're coming to get you.
Will, look out!
His crime wasn't taking time. He was giving it away.
It's a good
Yeah,
trailer.
It looks like much more in the vein of what he said, a Jason Bourne kind of 2000s action movie. But there is more to it. And I think if you walked into this thinking this is going to be a cool action movie, you're going to be disappointed in the first, like, I don't know, half of the movie.
but even in the trailer, the beginning of it is like dystopic. Like this
Yeah.
is the near future,
Here's the
and people,
babies and
yeah, exactly. So you're getting this vision of this dystopic future, but then there's cool action shit. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, again, yeah, it feels like a weird amalgam of like the time that it was made, more so like it just
time.
yeah, right. It's like looking at Niccol's whole catalog of films. it feels maybe like the one that was like most pressured into a corner to like be something where it looks like Gattaca. He used a lot of the same locations actually as well from his LA shoot with Gattaca. I'm like, oh, I know that alleyway right there. Like he still has the same obsession with like 50s and 60s cars. Like the whole aesthetic of the rich is dated. So it's like that retrofuturism that he likes, that green and orange color grading is still very much in the same spectrum as well. So it feels like it's like a spiritual sequel to Gattaca, but it's like at that point, just like make the sequel to Gattaca, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, I do like the trailer though. If that just popped on, I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna watch that. Look, the guy's got a clock in his arm. That's awesome.
Right.
What's that about?
I mean, I love a dystopian, just environment, future, whatever it happens to be. Throw me in it.
And that's, I think, why we were like, yeah, let's go see it.
Yeah.
Looks cool, I guess. What have we got to lose?
Yeah. And, in the trailer, I was just sort of like making light of his decision to immediately like buy a sports car. Cause it's like, I don't know if he's like trying to fit in or it's like, oh, I just have money. So now I'm going to get the thing that I've always wanted. But when he first gets the time, he goes to his like degenerate drunken friend's house and is like, look how much time I have. I'm like, you're a moron,
how long
sir.
have we been friends? I'm going to give you that equivalent amount of time, not taking into consideration his environment and his behavioral patterns.
You're a bad friend, sir.
Right? I mean, okay.
Give it to the wife.
That is the smart decision. He is a 25-year-old man, so he's not thinking that far ahead.
He is a 36-year-old man.
Never gonna let that go.
I will never let that go.
But like, I agree. He should have given it to the wife or at least spread it like throughout the family. But it's like he's not even thinking of his friend as like part of a family. He's like, this is my drinking buddy who I work with, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it like, I think it shows like some of that immaturity, and then he later has to sort of reconcile with the emotional burden of like his decision there. But yeah, I mean, like, it's one thing to gift your buddy a decade, but it's another thing to be like, yeah, I have 150 years to spend, and it's like, this guy put in a bad situation, that guy's gonna rat you out. If the gangsters come around beating his ass, he's going to rat you out. Look, you gave away time to all these other people, right? And they ratted you out. So yeah. I get the notion to like want to share it, but it seems like wholly irresponsible in the way that he goes about it. Granted, he's not surrounded with a bunch of thinkers at the time. He's like the outlier. He's like the one smart and savvy street guy because his dad was that guy, even though we know nothing about his relationship with his father other than his dad existed and was maybe a Robin Hood. Yeah.
We don't know how he died. We don't know what happened. We don't know if he was trying to, start an uprising and it was put to a stop, or if he just lost a fight. Maybe he just lost, we don't know.
Someone punched his clock.
Right. Punched his clock. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, there's a whole stretch there in the beginning of the movie when he gets the money where I'm like, you are doing this all wrong. You are a guy who has never had time, which means he's never had money. And I don't understand how you're spending it. And frankly, if you did know how to spend it, your mom would probably be alive because you would have gotten on the bus to go get her or gotten a car where you are, anything instead of running in the streets like a weirdo.
Yeah.
It makes for a great scene, I will say, as they're sprinting towards each other. And then
it's dramatic.
It is. And you have the sort of full circle moment with Amanda Seyfried in the end where it's like the same thing is happening. But I don't feel the emotional weight of either of those. And I don't know if that's a Timberlake thing. I don't know if it's because all the actors are the same age, like it just doesn't resonate in the same way.
He really tried though. When he cries out to the heavens when his mother dies, he really tries. I didn't get it either.
No. And the whole scene, I'm just like, you have no time. Stop stopping. Just keep running. Because literally I'm counting. I've seen this now a few times. I'm like, the amount of time she stands at that door, the amount of time she's looking at her wrist. If you just kept moving, you would have made it. I can add up those extra seconds.
Yeah, it's a little bit of sort of like insert movie drama here because she lives in the poor community where every second is counted. She would know full well not to waste her time and stop and think and like ever stop running, right? She would be one of the people who would never do that. And you could still not even have all those dramatic moments, just have her sprinting the whole time. We know what's probably going to happen in that moment. And I mean, Olivia Wilde has gone on to do better things than this.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is not like her starring work, but she too, like, she's not in the movie enough for that moment to matter, I think.
This is another one of those action movie cliches. The woman of your life has to die to motivate you to change and to do the thing that the movie is all about. That happens in every other action movie, especially around this time. That's the only reason she's there. She's only there to die.
Because men are stupid and we don't know how to motivate ourselves until the love of our life dies.
He needs his mommy. The 28-year-old man boy needs his mommy.
I would have liked to seen that explored more, like the fact that you are living with a parent that is like the same age as you is weird. You know, I lost both of my parents by the time I was 31, both of my parents had died. And sort of getting to the point in my life where I was an adult and getting to like experience my mom as an adult and as a person rather than just like as my mom was a fascinating, interesting time. Mm-hmm. And so like to see that like you're going to, you know, time permitting, if you guys can like manage your budget well enough, you guys would have that relationship for a much longer period of time. But it's like, it's just handled haphazardly. It's just like, oh, she's young and hot, and isn't it weird? Isn't it weird that they're the same age kind of thing?
There's one passing mention that he has where, hey, I finally have enough time to take my mom to Greenwich, whatever it's called, Greenwich City. I finally have enough time to give my mother the life that she never had, which is a great, just sentimental kind of a feeling. But again, the other things that he does first before he does that, it's irresponsible.
Why do you go to your drunk friend with 100 years? Why don't you go to your mom and pick her up from this job that's terrible?
Yeah.
You literally had an entire day.
Pull her out of the job. She doesn't need that job anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all like gig work. She's doing like gig economy kind of stuff. She says there's work today at the, clothing factory or whatever she said.
Yeah. Again, just young men being stupid. And again, it doesn't help the emotional burden there. I think you strip out some of the peripheral elements here, maybe start us in the movie with his mom. So that way we get an understanding of like who she is and what she's been through and the grind that she's going through, because we just like see her in the kitchen and then she's like, I'm off to work, son. And we're the same age. Bye. And
that's a great idea.
We see her dying after that.
Like we get introduced to her. She's alive. We don't get to know her at all. Nope. Why not introduce the mother? And we could also have the dynamic between, mother and son, but have that all done in a flashback. Like have this be his motivation.
Or an opening scene when he's a little boy. Yeah. Something.
Set it up in the intro and then plop us into present day.
Yeah, there's a lot of meat on the bone, I think is a good way to phrase it. You get to the end of the movie and it's like, well, there's still a lot of stuff there that we didn't really get into, but no.
You can talk about the father too.
That's what's so infuriating about the movie is everything is there. I can see it. And maybe that's why we keep rewatching it. I think maybe this time it'll be different, and it's never different.
We keep running into the same damn problem.
This movie has been exactly the same for 15 years. Why isn't it better?
With movies that we have covered for our show, I like to extrapolate whatever I can in order to make it a better movie. I do that all the time, and I do it for this movie.
He's so generous.
Every time.
I mean, like, I'm a optimist as well, and I like to see the good things in a movie as much as possible. And I think when I was watching this initially in the 2010s, that was my experience. And then having a big enough break and enough changes in the world, and the fact that it's been long enough where I've aged an additional 15 years since the movie came out, and I'm more aware of my own clock winding down, to look back at it then and be like, oh, as a 40-year-old, 41-year-old, the thing that is most interesting about the movie is not what's happening for the 25-year-olds. It's about all the older people, actually. So, I mean, you know, maybe when I was in that age range, I was like, yeah, look at him. He's shaved his head and he's got a nice car now. He's good at poker. He got the girl. Look, he can time wrestle better than anybody, just like his dad, shooting guns, you know, all that stuff. But I want to ask you both about the time wrestling specifically, because I think they call it strong arm in the film. And it is this arm wrestling, but it's all done like through willpower. Like you just got to want the time more than the other guy.
They never explain the mechanics of the clock, the arm, anything. I know it's all genetic because they talk about they changed the human genetics in order to have this clock thing even happen. But yeah, they never explain the mechanics of, okay, you can go up to somebody and just take their time without their say so.
They could be in their sleep and you could just take it all and they don't wake up and
or
they would never know.
Or give it.
Or give. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no like boundaries. Like whoever designed this didn't think through the can I, should I, like what's to stop people from taking your time? This could affect literally anybody. Like, what if somebody was savvy enough to break into New Greenwich and started robbing people just in their homes, in their sleep? They could do that. There could be a mass murderer and taking all the time.
What makes somebody good at the arm wrestling thing?
And it's just like connection
it's
with
not
it's like the wrist. It's not like the pulses.
All in the wrist.
It's all literally. It's so like let's just zap our wrists together.
Come on.
And that's how Matt Bomer transfers the time. And that's how, you know, they always lock wrists. It's something about the pulse.
Yeah.
But it's just like thinking about it makes it happen. And you can speed it up and slow it down.
I wanted there to be some kind of like clockwise, counterclockwise kind of a thing with the wrist. Like, how do you give it? How do you take it?
We're arm wrestling with the little needle on the clock, which who's going to overpower it? There was a couple of interviews where they talked about this specifically because obviously people had questions about it and they didn't put it in the movie. And Andrew Niccol was like, oh yeah, it's through like the electricity of your pulse that all this stuff is transferred. I'm like, okay, electricity can like transfer data. I get that. But with the strong arm still, he explains it to her and he explains it how his dad did it. Be like, my dad would basically let himself almost die and then he would just win. Because he just
because the other guy gets distracted and cocky.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like I don't understand. I still don't understand. I'm trying to like figure it out.
It's like a focus thing, but again, they don't spend enough time on it. They don't explore it. They just say
my pulse is pounding harder than your pulse, and I'm pulsing you. So I can, and yeah, and how do you, because you can give time, but then you can take time. So you have to focus enough.
Are you doing both simultaneously? Are you just doing one? Because you have to also be controlling your own, because you have to let them take enough, but not so much.
Are
that
you
lose?
taking or are you trying to prevent them from taking?
The answer is yes.
It's not a valve that you're twisting.
Right?
You're twisting your arm. There's so many different questions to this. And I know it's a sci-fi movie.
This is what we do.
Not everything needs to be explained.
Ain't that kind of
but
movie.
Betsy, we watched another movie that this movie reminded me of. We covered this movie for our show last year. We did Logan's Run, which has a very similar concept where it's a sci-fi movie where people, when they reach a certain age, is it 30?
I think it's 30.
When you hit 30, you have to die.
And you all have a little crystal in your palm that turns different colors when you're like, okay, first it's white. And then you get to be in your teens and it goes green. And then when you're in your 20s, it goes yellow.
It's a genetic thing too.
Yeah.
You're born with this crystal in your palm. And when you get to almost 30, it turns red or it flashes. And guess what? When you turn 30, you have to go to this.
You have to report
ceremony somewhere, and you get blown the fuck up.
Yeah, no, you're going to be renewed.
Yeah, there's a chance. There's a chance that you're going to be reincarnated as another person.
Or something.
Something to that effect.
Or you get reset.
There's
but
always
it's
a
never
chance of
happened.
reincarnation.
It never happens. It's population control.
Again, it's a movie where it's like, I vaguely understood the concept, and then there's a group of people that, they don't want to go.
Yeah.
And there's another group of people chasing them to make them go.
Yeah, there are cops that capture the 30-year-olds and force them to go die.
And we had the same kind of problems with that movie as we do with this one, where it's like, just explain it more.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah. And I think in a movie that wants to be like a fun sci-fi romp, like Demolition Man, right? You don't have to explain the science, but I think the Demolition Man honestly does a better job of explaining its science than this movie does, because there's no burden of intellectual grace. I think like you're not asking anything of nothing in Demolition Man actually has to sort of make sense, but the way that it's set up in this movie is that like this actually makes sense and is supposed to work. And I started thinking about Scanners, and so like in Scanners, yeah, sure, like kind of same thing. You're not playing for time. You're just sort of like mind battling another. And I imagine like I'm pushing my brain power into your brain and then vice versa until whoever's brain power is more powerful explodes the other person's head. And so it's like a similar thing here, but then it's like, they're obviously using their minds, but yeah, I just want like a little bit of detail, not necessarily
in those
a lot.
movies, they kind of explain it away. They just kind of hand wave it away. They say something rather than nothing. I would rather you say something than just leave the arm wrestling thing up to your imagination.
And I feel like in this world where he's like, I'm going to gamble and play poker, like the arm wrestling thing would be like the ultimate form of gambling in that world. And obviously his dad was very good at it, and that's what he was doing. So it's a lot riskier. It's like Russian roulette to some degree. So it's like, I feel like in the poor community, like in the underground sort of like time circles, that would be the thing. And we could have gotten a lot more out of that just by witnessing like an event of like, hey, maybe Timberlake is going to go compete at one of these things and compete against somebody. And then we see
the sequel is like over the top.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do it. Stallone's still kicking around. But I think with a movie like this, which often happens with, I think, movies that make it to the show, I feel like there's a richness to the film that may be better suited to like a TV show style of format. Like if this is 8 episodes and you do a couple seasons, I feel like you could flesh out so much more of this world and these characters and these ideas and like really get to the core of what the story idea is. I don't know. Do you feel the same way about this?
100%.
Yeah.
Because you have such a rich world. Like they're showing these maps of where all these people are. Number one, we have no idea where in the world all these groups are, all these zones are. But you could meet so many different people and the struggles that they're having in the more affluent zones, but maybe somebody from the ghettos, as they call them, comes into the middle part. Like, how do they accept them? Do they accept them?
Maybe you get more of the uprising across the different zones.
Yeah.
Or you get more details like Matt Bomer. He can't be the only person who is sick of being alive. He is 116 or 105, whatever he said. And he's just like, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm old.
He's like, I've done everything there is to do other than just keep being alive,
and you can't risk it. That's the other thing that they keep hammering home. You can't be reckless. He's not going to be somebody who's like jumping off of buildings and driving fast cars and, all the things that people with money in the real world like to do because they can. I can't afford to do a lot of these crazy adventure things. But they can. But in this world, you can't even do that. What do you spend all your time on?
And like the interesting question, I think, is when Will gets arrested for the first time and he's in that big room with the timekeepers, he's talking about, I wrote down this quote, why are you investigating a suicide when there's mass murder in the ghetto every day? Like, why are you spending time on this guy who wanted to give his money away, wanted to die? You can't even understand that concept.
And why do you care?
Yeah.
Why does it matter? Because it doesn't belong there. He gave it to him. Just because there isn't a witness doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Yeah, it's the balance of money and power. And it cannot be upset.
Like, you can't have that. Why not? Why can't he have that? He didn't steal it.
He didn't. And I think lines of dialogue like that let me know that the script and the idea is smarter than maybe the final product allows it to be, because that is just asking like a very real question about the world. And I'm like, hey, this is where the movie is like at its apex. This is where it's getting into the good stuff. And then it was just like chase scene. Like we got to throw a fight in there, and we got to
Amanda Seyfried in a bra and panties. You know, let's have a sex scene.
And instead of like the Cillian Murphy character starting to question it himself, it's one of his underlings that is starting to question it. And he puts down his gun and badge at the end of the movie and says, I'm out of here. But it should be the Cillian Murphy character.
100%.
He's been doing this for over 50 years.
He's from there.
Yes.
He gets it.
There's so much more with that character that could have been done, but they just don't.
Yeah. And it's disappointing because we know that he's a good enough actor. And I think the benefit of hindsight may actually be handicapping us in this case, because we're looking at it like we know his potential. And it would be such an interesting development for him to be the one to be like, all right, well, I'm actually going to help Will in this case, rather than just being like, no, I've got to be a damn time cop. It's the only thing I've got. So it's like, it fizzles where it should sizzle. But how do you feel about doing some trivia right now?
Would love to.
Okay, good.
I live for trivia.
Woo!
Time for trivia.
Okay, so first question off the board. Amanda Seyfried, Justin Timberlake, Olivia Wilde, and Vincent Kartheiser also appeared together in which 2006 film?
2006. Olivia, who are the four? Olivia Wilde,
Amanda Seyfried, Justin Timberlake, and Vincent Kartheiser.
Ooh, I know this. It's Alpha Dog.
It is Alpha Dog.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Look at that. Trent
that was one of
in.
Justin Timberlake's first movies,
Have
if
you
not
seen
his
that?
first. Yeah.
You've seen? I have never seen that.
Oh, looks like you have a project.
This is a rarity because usually it's him.
Yeah, I had to run him down in my head again. Like, they're in there.
Oh, wow.
And in fairness, Justin Timberlake is good in that movie. And it may ask less of him than in time. So if someone were to say that's his best performance, I would.
There are too many people in that movie, including Anton Yelchin.
I did know that.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go to question number 2. They sort of teased it a little bit in the trailer, and they may have actually given us an answer in the movie. What year does the film actually take place? I'll give you a margin of error of an entire decade.
So the clock got up to at least 2056.
Correct.
So I'm going with that.
Trent, you got a guess?
I'll say 2060. I don't know.
2161 or 69, excuse me. So I think somewhere in the very beginning of the movie that's floated out there probably. They obviously tease it in the trailer where the clock is just winding and then they cut us off before they show us. So it's far enough in the future where it feels like more of a not too distant future movie.
I appreciate
more so
that.
than that one.
I appreciate that more than most movies. Like we watched Blade Runner recently. And it's like, Blade Runner, the movie that takes place in our past.
And we just had one that is 2049 that we will hopefully live to see.
Next year, we're going to be in the Children of Men year. So that's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
That's right.
Hopefully we inch away from that reality a little bit more.
But I think you also have to go that much farther out to have people not even remember what life was before the genetics changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I think that genetic modification enough. It's weird because it's so far in the future, but Andrew Niccol loves the 50s and 60s aesthetic. So then we have that mixed in, but then everybody's 25 too. So it's like, what time is it actually? Like, I don't know. It seems like it's 2011 to me. Okay, let's go to the third and final question off the board. The combination to open Philippe's vault is 12/2/1809, which is Charles Darwin's birthday. But he shares that birthday with what other major American historical figure?
1809.
Granted, this is not so much a question about the movie, it's a question about American history, but it's what I got.
Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln, you got it.
Oh!
That was in my head. I just yeah.
That was a total guess, but I was like, ballpark, that sounds right.
Close enough. Yeah. So Abraham Lincoln, of all people, kind of crazy that him and Darwin share a birthday. Because Darwin seems like such so much more of an ancient figure than Lincoln, but it's like, no, not really.
Not really.
Okay. Gonna go to a couple things in bonus trivia, which were just like fun stuff. So there's a lot of running in this movie, and people have contended that it's the most running of any movie. And the one thing Amanda Seyfried hated in this movie is having to run in heels so much. And in my notes, I was like, man, he's an asshole. He's making her run in her heels this whole time. Like, not take your shoes off and let's sprint. Now let's get you some new shoes. You got to run in those heels. And during the filming, there was so much running, in fact, that Justin Timberlake tore his calf. And they had to sideline the shoot for multiple weeks, I think, while he recovered. And even in one of the interviews where they were discussing how much running there was, Amanda was like, yeah, the running in the heels sucked, but like, Justin's the fastest of all of us. He's so fast that he tore his calf muscle. Yeah. So kind of wild that there's that much pound for pound running. We also talked about shared sort of cinematic universes or connections. And so Alex Pettyfer and Matt Bomer were also in Magic Mike together.
We talked about that last night.
Hadn't thought about that until last night.
Does that make them like movie Eskimo brothers? I don't know. There's got to be like Eskimovie brothers. There's got to be a better term for it. And so to your point, yes, a lot of the actors were well over the age of 25, and including, Cillian Murphy and Justin Timberlake were, I think, in their late 20s, maybe early 30s. But Seyfried was 30s. The only one who was 25. Yeah. In one of the interviews, though, the most interesting thing I think that got said in the interviews that I watched was that Justin Timberlake makes this comment about the government finding a way to regulate the population somehow if we were to stop aging, that there would have to be some other form of control. And I'm like, okay, like he's aware of the concept that makes the film interesting. But then in a different red carpet interview, he's like, I love guns and fast cars. So like he knows what movies he's making while also
depending
being
on
like
his audience, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's like, Andrew Niccol is a good writer. He did these movies. Like he wrote such a great script for us. And then in the other interview, he's like, yeah, pew pew, we're having so much fun. So it's a weird dichotomy for this film. And I think even if I watch it again, I will still watch it with the hope that it enriches me in the way that I hope that it will. And look, at a time where people are reinventing and remaking everything, this is a great time for a streamer to reach out to Andrew Niccol and be like, hey, maybe help create this show. Pluribus is hugely popular right now. So maybe now is the time to get into like a 8-episode sci-fi series.
They did that with Limitless.
Yeah,
yes,
they did.
Yeah.
If
These
Limitless
are the
can
movies,
make it.
These are the movies I most want to be remade. Stop giving me Disney live action. I don't care about that. I don't care about the movie we just did like 10 years ago and doing it again, or you keep trying to make Ghostbusters still a franchise. Like, stop. There was one Ghostbusters movie that was good. Don't make any more. But
shots fired.
In time has all the bones. It's all there. I can see it. It lives within the sinews, but this product is not so good. So try it again and do it better.
Yeah, it just needs more room to breathe. It needs more room to flesh out the world that it's existing in. And I think one of the things that the Hunger Games managed to do really, really well is to just sort of narrow the scope. Because you get like a big world, you get a lot of characters, but it really sort of boils down to like what it means to be a part of District 11 or 13 or whichever one she's part of, and like what it means to be poor with an oppressive government, like forcing you to do these things. And it really it just nails that part of it, and it makes the rest of everything work. And then what it does is it buys you time to then spell out everything else. And it allows you time to just be like, hey, we're going to give you some window dressing here. You're focused on the emotional resonance of this journey, which I think is the thing that is missing the most from this, is that it just, the emotional resonance doesn't carry you through all of the pitfalls. So it's like, if I cared enough, I wouldn't be asking these other questions. But all the characters that I actually should care about are dead already, and we're just sprinting along with Timberlake. So tough spot to be in. But let's go to the bonus wheel. We'll have some fun.
All right.
Let's see what the first question off the board is. Okay. Well, almost. Oh, we got it. So if a new version of this was made today, let's just say, I think we can include TV shows. Which creative would you want to see at the helm of the project?
Ooh.
Depends on how dramatic you want to go or comedic.
Rian Johnson.
Yeah.
Rian Johnson.
That's the answer.
I think after seeing Wake Up Dead Man, I feel like he can communicate the emotional stuff well. I think what we see in that movie too is a lot of sort of like grappling with faith in a way that isn't super heavy-handed when it comes to religion. So that is going to lend itself really well to like sort of the character of the timekeeper having to grapple with like his faith in the institutions of government that are keeping everything afloat. I think it's a good choice.
He's also done sci-fi. He did a really interesting movie with Looper.
He did. And I mean, like,
and he's dabbling in TV now too. So
I'd say, like, depending on your mileage, like you also have Star Wars: Last Jedi, which some people hate, but I think it's undeniably one of the best looking, if not the best looking, Star Wars movie. So even if you don't love the story aspects or the character aspects of it, he's got the chops to make the thing look fantastic.
But guess what? We talk more about Last Jedi than any other recent Star Wars movie.
That is fair.
There's the reason for it, and it is Rian Johnson.
Yeah. Controversial or no. I mean, it is
he took a chance
to talk about.
He did something that nobody else did in all of the movies. So
that's right.
I would give him in time.
Yeah. Hey, Ryan, I know you're not listening to this, but
call us, Ryan.
If somebody you know is
project.
listening to this, reach out to Andrew Niccol. Someone's got to make it happen. Okay, let's go to the next question. I'm going to give you a bonus spin because it's your first time here as well. So we'll get a full 3 questions off the board. Oh, God, it's the worst one, though. I'm sorry. I have to do this to you. It's the gross one. Okay, so you have to make a human centipede with 2 characters from the movie, but you have to be in the middle. So which character do you want in the front and which character do you want in the back?
Literally.
I'm sorry. I understand if you don't want to come back on the show.
I mean,
I love that that's just on the wheel. This could just happen to anybody.
It can.
I mean, if it's literally making a human centipede with 2 very young and attractive people from this movie, I got no problem with saying what I want to say.
Say it.
I mean, it's Amanda Seyfried
and?
as number 1. Gosh, trying to go down. You know what? I would have a good time with that Johnny Galecki guy. I think he would have. He would have a good time.
I don't know if there's anything such thing as a good time when you're human centipeding.
Hey,
yeah,
you could have worse casts to choose from than this one.
Yes,
I will say.
This is true.
Betsy,
you can make me answer.
Of course.
I'll do the obvious thing. Amanda Seyfried and Justin Timberlake.
Boo.
Boo. Boo. But
I say boo.
I don't care.
It's a good sandwich, though. They're on the poster for a reason.
It's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get ourselves out of the woods. So you have to sell this movie to a new watcher based solely on one scene in the movie. Which is the scene that makes the movie?
I would say it's Justin Timberlake and Matt Bomer talking about just him living for 100+ years, and his brain is, or his mind is aging enough that I just don't want to live anymore. I think that really sells the movie.
Me too. Us old heads are like, I just want to watch these 2 guys talk about how shitty life is.
Yeah, that's a good one. One scene. I'm almost leaning towards like after he's gambling and he and Amanda Seyfried are on the beach when they go swimming, where he's basically kind of taking some of what Matt Bomer said, like, what's the point of living if you don't feel alive?
Yeah.
And they go out in the water.
They revisit that concept a lot. Like the poor people they die and the rich people don't live.
Yeah, no, I think that's an important point. It's like they're so scared of dying, that it's like they live a very like protected existence. And that is a much more fascinating, I think, moralistic question than a lot of the other things that get explored throughout the course of the movie. It does take a while for Seyfried to sort of like understand where that is coming from. She kind of like that character break doesn't happen until like fairly late in the movie too. I think,
but then it happens kind of too quickly in my mind. It just it's a switch that just turns in her.
Yeah, it's like, oh, my dad, he didn't love me enough to bail me out. So, all right, well, screw daddy. Nothing that this guy actually
Let's take down the entire system.
Yeah. Justin Timberlake, I know you explained all this stuff and like you have good points, but really it's just like I'm mad at my father, and rightfully so, but
yeah,
you know, so be it. Okay, well, now I'm just going to ask you about more or less, because you're going to tell me one thing. Well, we've talked about a lot of this, but you give me one and one only thing that you want more of, and one only thing that you want less of.
I think if I want more of something, it's just exploring how this world works. And we've touched on all of the little things in this conversation, but you've given me a taste of something cool, but I need more details.
Yeah, I'll do my less. I'm just going to say less running. It takes up entirely too much of the runtime of the movie. You get the okay, I'm noticing you kind of jogging or running, and you don't necessarily fit in here. That's good. I like that. But then you're just running against the clock, and it's just too many times.
We're constantly out of time. We have to go here. We have to go here. We have to go here.
Quickly.
Yeah, the movie should have been called Out of Time, not In Time. But
yeah,
right.
Well, there you go. Okay, so what do you want more of then?
That's it. Go.
Well, I said my more. So what do you want?
Excuse me. I'm going to say what I said before about more looking into the other zones. Just giving me a slice of life from other parts of this world and what other people are up to. Like, what are their day-to-day lives? Like, we see the poor people working in the factories next to the 99-cent store. Yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah, I think all of us want more of an expansion on the world. And like, I don't mean to like belittle Will Salas here, but it's like, you dropped us in this world and then you gave us the least interesting guy in the world to follow. He's Justin Timberlake, so we got to follow him. Okay, Betsy, did you do a more?
That was my more.
Oh, sorry, you didn't do a less.
That was my more. My less, I would love if they would pull back on the wordplay and all of the time puns. It gets to a point where like the first time it's kind of clever, like the timekeepers and the Minutemen, like it's kind of clever. And then other times it's like, stop, please, this is getting silly.
Yeah. And how I kind of talked about that last night is we've been living in this world now for, let's just say, over 100 years, 200 years, however long it's been that we've had this genetic thing. The society adapts to what is going on. So all these sayings are going to be just popping up naturally. And it's going to sound weird to people like us, but in this world, it's not so weird.
Well, just little girl wanting donations. And she's like, you got a minute?
You got a minute?
You got a minute? Or I wrote down a whole bunch of them. It was driving me insane. Like what? I don't have time to gamble. Somebody's going to clean that clock. That's a very nice watch. The fact that the town is called New Greenwich, as in Greenwich Mean Time. They all live in time zones. Don't waste my time. You've taken years off my father's life. Isn't that normally what you do, my darling? Per diem means something very different. Quality time. Like they use so many of these things that you could come up with any other kind of slang. Like to counter your argument, in the future, it would be just commonplace, but they would have different words for it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't all be puns on time.
Going back to my haiku, he says, it's kind of a double entendre. It says, who has time for a girlfriend, which is not only spending actual time with them, but spending your currency to date.
That's a little bit more subtle use of it, and I think it plays better. Is because I think even the Minutemen and Timekeepers, it's like that sort of would maybe become like a colloquial term for like those types of roles and stuff. But yeah, like when the movie starts beginning to be self-aware that like we want to write in sort of time puns, it's like, okay, whoa, like everybody in this world is miserable except for the rich people. I don't think they're going to be joking around about how soon they're going to die all the time. Maybe you got to have a sense of humor in an environment like that. But was there anything else that like you had specifically in your notes, or you put down like, hey, I really want to make sure that I mention this thing before we move on?
I don't think so. I think I got them all.
Well, to your point about the time stuff too, if I read correctly, a lot of the characters' names were also the name of watch manufacturers.
No.
I don't know if it's all of them, but it says many of the character names are those of famous and not so famous watchmakers. The name Weiss is pronounced same as the watchmaker Albert Weiss, which is WAJS. So, I mean, that's only one example, but if like all the characters, then it's really bad.
Yeah.
They're all named after watches too, because the movie's about time.
The thing I said last night is the movie bludgeons you to death with its time puns.
Yeah.
It's cute the first time, but after about the 7th one in 10 minutes, I wanted to slap somebody. And I love a pun. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah. I just liked the phrase Darwinian capitalism.
Yeah.
Like the themes just keep on getting repeated and repeated with these very rich people. But I don't know. I could go on a long rant about all of the economic things that are happening in the movie, but I'll leave that for another time.
Yeah, episode 2 on In
There you
Time,
go.
where we just dive into the economic spectrum of this place.
In tune, T2ME. In Time, the sequel.
No.
Okay, In Time with 2 eyes, but it's like the Roman numeral 2. Does that
should
work?
move on.
Yeah. No, I like where this is going. Well, before I get to the next thing, because we're getting close to wrapping up here, I do want to ask you both though too. I mean, obviously we have some fondness for this movie. We all all three of us, I think, enjoy a lot of elements of the movie. I think we all want better from it. I think that's more of our personality than it is the movie and maybe the movie's responsibility itself. But when we initially were kicking around ideas of what movie to talk about on the show, like how did this one become the one that we talked about today?
I think it's because Betsy and I have had long conversations about just what we've been talking about tonight regarding this movie and how much we wanted it to be that much better.
And we keep coming back to it.
Yeah.
We keep looking at it because we see the pieces. We see what they were trying to do. And that's what's so frustrating is we didn't pull it off.
Or maybe what they could have done instead of doing the time heist at the end and Bonnie and Clyde and just maybe having it be more of a serious sci-fi movie.
Yeah. I love all the pieces and I do love a puzzle. And I think I'm just in my head trying to work it out.
Yeah, I think in fairness, this is much more diet sci-fi than traditional sci-fi because the fulcrum point for the story is a sci-fi idea, but the through line of the story is not really sci-fi at all. It's just wealth inequality and time is money.
It's kind of a find and replace money and time.
Yeah. That being said, it's still going to go in sci-fi month because it counts. He's got a watch in his arm. There's a digital display in his arm.
It glows.
It glows. Right? That's perfect. It's good enough for me.
You've got mail.
Okay, so before we get to Critics Corner, I did have a friend reach out about this movie specifically, and my friend Joel, West Coast Strange. He said, I thought this wasn't bad. Fair. Same sort of lane as Push. They don't make movies this sort of fun at this budget anymore, though. They all bombed. And there are, I think, a lot of movies that sort of exist within this circle where it was like, oh, this is cool. It's clever. We're going to make a new star with this movie too. And then they just didn't resonate in that way. And I would have to pull more examples. And I haven't watched Push in a while either, but that feels probably more like sci-fi core than this. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen Push.
This one, maybe Wanted. It's not really sci-fi, but it's tiptoeing towards sci-fi.
Bending bullets with my mind.
Yeah. It's all those mid-budget things. And that's kind of everything now. Everybody's talking about just make more mid-budget movies. They're fun. Come on.
Yeah. And like
you can't convince people to do it because they don't make money. That's the crap that should get shoved on streaming.
Yeah. And what's crazy is, so the movie cost $40 million. And then it grossed 37.5 in the States. So it loses North America, but internationally makes 136. So it almost like quadruples its production budget. I think that's a success, but it seems like more recently, I mean, maybe since the time of like, I want to say like Pacific Rim, where there's been more of an emphasis on like, we know we're going to lose the domestic box office. So let's build a movie that is very successful with like its international footprint. So our cast is going to be from like all over the world, and we're going to like play with that in mind. And we know we'll recoup our money overseas. And it seems like this was still being made at a time where it's like, if you fail domestically, I don't care how much money you made overseas. Like, we're never going to greenlight another one of these again.
Yeah. And how many movies has Justin Timberlake starred in since 2011's In Time?
That is a good question. I didn't do that much homework for this, but I'm sure we could look it up.
I can't name a whole lot. I know he's been a supporting actor a few times. I know he's done a lot of voice work.
Yeah, that's true. He did like Trolls, right? He was supporting in Social Network, which might have even been before this anyway.
That was 2010. Yeah.
Let me see. I'm going to just take a quick peek before we move on, because now I'm curious. All right. So 2011 was In Time. Trouble with the Curve is a baseball movie.
That Clint Eastwood movie?
Yeah, Inside Llewyn Davis.
Yeah, supporting.
Lots of music videos. Trolls, Wonder Wheel, which I don't remember. More music videos. Palmer was the last one that I saw. It was an Apple TV original, and he's good in that. I got to be fair. He is good in that. Yeah, it went straight to Apple TV. Nobody watched it. But yeah, he's good in it. He plays like I think a war vet or like an ex-con or something. He's more grizzled, you know.
I think I've heard about this.
2021, and then he was in Reptile, but again, back to supporting. So yeah, it's like we tried our hand at him being a lead, and now that's not going to happen anymore. Sorry, JT, but good work in Palmer. Anyway, let's go to Critics Corner, because this is where we hear all the real juicy, horrible stuff. Okay, so we've got an overall score of 53, or this is the Metascore board that I'm looking at here. We start at the bottom, as we always do, and this is the Tampa Bay Times, the renowned Tampa Bay Times.
World famous. Steve Persall gave it a 16 out of 100. Says Niccol fashioned an uninspired and downright dull sci-fi gimmick and doesn't even explain how it happened. I mean,
he's
half right.
It is a gimmick for sure.
It leans a little bit too much into gimmick and away from like the sci-fi core that makes it interesting. That's fair. I'd still give it better than a 16, but I wouldn't say he's entirely incorrect.
He was in a bad mood that day.
He was. He's like, this is shit. I'm not having a fun day on the job. But the good news is that is the lowest score by far, and we're climbing the ladder. We got 3 50s on the board. So we've got Slant Magazine, The Hollywood Reporter, and the AV Club. So you two get to pick which one we're going to go with.
Hollywood Reporter.
All right, Todd McCarthy. As novel and absorbing as In Time is in several respects, however, Andrew Niccol's latest conception of an altered but still recognizable future feels undernourished in other ways that are not as salutary, preventing the film from fulfilling its strong inherent promise. I think that's fair. I think that's
all
100%
true
fair.
statements.
Yeah.
He used the word salutary, meaning he likes a good sci-fi because he likes big words.
We like big
words. Yeah, and I think I don't disagree with anything that he said, and he handled it kindly. He didn't feel the need to like punch down on the movie for any reason. So, all right, I'll accept that.
Stating the facts, it's okay.
Recognizing the positive and the negative. It's a good review.
Okay, so we've got then 2 more Florida newspapers on the board. In with 63s, the Miami Herald and the Orlando Sentinel. That's your pick.
Welcome to Miami. Buenvenido.
Renee Rodriguez. If you can overlook the lack of logic inherent in its central conceit, In Time makes for a fun, stylish piece of speculative sci-fi.
There you go.
And she gave it a 63, which is almost exactly 2/3 of a great movie. So she's in she's in the camp. Okay, we've got also 2 70s on the board, surprisingly. One from Salon and one from an unsighted Variety writer.
Let's go to Variety.
All right, Variety. It's a fascinating philosophical conceit delivered as a slick, hyper-stylized conspiracy yarn, juicy enough to deliver on both fronts, provided you don't ask too many questions. Well, we asked a lot of questions, and that's why we're
flaw. I must know more.
Yeah, movie podcasters.
Yeah, but very fair though. It's like, if you're not going to spend 2 hours having a discussion about this movie, you'll like it just fine.
Yeah.
And then even if you do talk about it for 2 hours, you'll probably still like it, but maybe just not as much. Okay, so we've got Roger Ebert on the board with a 75. And so I'm going to make an exception. I'm going to include Roger because I always want to. And then we've got one more beyond Roger. It was completely unexplored territory to have any Ebert positive reviews on this show for 3.5, 4 seasons. And all of a sudden he just started popping up, and he's been popping up a lot since like middle of last year. So
he was softening as he got older.
Yeah, he was. So from the Chicago Sun-Times, he says, Justin Timberlake continues to demonstrate that he is a real actor with screen presence. But after the precise timing and intelligence he brought to The Social Network, it's a little disappointing to find him in a role that requires less. He has a future in movies.
He wasn't quite right about that, but you know.
He might have a future in movies.
He might. It could still happen. The future is now.
Yeah. Okay, so we close it out with a magazine that my mom was the general manager for back in the 90s. In 5 seasons of the show, never talked about this magazine. And all of a sudden, now that season 5 has started, it's popped up twice since the beginning of January. So this is Movie Line Magazine. Same writer, too, Stephanie Zacharek. She gave it a 90 out of 100. Says, In Time has so much style and energy that it comes across as an act of boldness rather than just a liberal-minded tract, though, of course, it's that too. If there were ever a movie made for the 99%, this is it. All right, Stephanie Zacharek. I'm not quite sure that the 99% agree with her, but it is a movie for the 99%.
Yes.
Yeah, whether you like it or not.
It's for us. So get on board. Okay. Well, now we get to another fun part of the show. This is the gateway drug movie. And this is going to be interesting because there's a lot of directions you can go. But for somebody who has never seen In Time and has listened to us maybe talk about this and is like, wow, I might actually push play, if Betsy and Trent can recommend something that is in the ballpark that I already have seen, that's a good launching pad for In Time, what do you got for us?
Betsy?
We came up with a few. So I'm going to start with 2002's Equilibrium.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love Equilibrium.
That was the one that I came up with when we were talking last night. Equilibrium has the dystopian future with a oppressive government trying to suppress the people.
And there's an uprising.
The conflict happens with one of the cops.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. Yes, this is true. And you get Christian Bale with a samurai sword.
Yeah.
And
some great
the gun kata.
Gun fu, is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
Underrated
Equilibrium.
movie, Equilibrium.
Yeah. I feel like Equilibrium is probably a sharper sci-fi film than In Time too. Like it knows what its sci-fi element is and gives us enough of that. And then it's like, okay, you've had enough. Let's chop some faces.
Yeah. We already kind of mentioned Logan's Run. I mentioned Hunger Games, obviously.
Yeah.
The last one I wrote down was Snowpiercer, which again is a dystopian, a dystopian thing, but a man-made dystopia.
Yeah.
But it's all the castes within the train,
the rich and the poor,
and the poor are made to labor. So,
no, that's a good pick. I like that. I got stuck between a couple of options and I was like, oh, it's this one. I'm like, no, it's not that one. And so the two that I ended up getting really torn between were Reminiscence, which was recent because it similarly like set a really cool premise, it had the look that I wanted, but like just didn't quite deliver. And I'm like, it's Hugh Jackman, it's Rebecca Ferguson. Like, there's no way I'm not going to really enjoy this movie. And it just kind of like didn't get to where I felt the potential for it to go actually was. And that was disappointing, to say the least. You had mentioned Looper, which I think is actually a pretty good one, but probably like a way better, headier sci-fi movie.
Yes.
It's also it has dumb fun in that one too. But the one that I came back to was Source Code for some reason.
Okay.
It feels similar in that it's like it's sci-fi, but it's really mostly action. You know,
it's about the same time, mid-budget sci-fi.
It makes you question a lot of things too.
There's a lot of heady concepts, but also they don't over-explain it.
Yeah, it's more of a vibes connection that I'm picking up.
Yeah, I get that
one. So yeah, I think we got some good options for anybody who's really like interested. You can check out any of the 6 movies that we named, and then at the end of that, then you watch In Time, and you'll be like, "Hey, they were right.
It all makes
exactly
sense.
what they were talking about."
Yeah.
So we come to the point in the show where I want you to plug your show. Tell people that are listening to this right now where they can find you. What's the best way to get in touch with Betsy and Trent? Is it through email? Is it on social media?
It's all of the above, really. We do it all. We are Never Seen It with Betsy and Trent on podcast services worldwide, where it is a reaction podcast where Betsy and I sit down, talk about a movie that we have not seen yet before we go and see it. Then we take a break, we see the movie, we come back and give our reaction. It is a free-flowing kind of a thought process where what our initial thought is immediately upon hitting record on this little recording device we have here. And we don't really have a structure to the show. It's just however it flows out of us. And we take audience interaction. We love to get emails from people. We love to get comments on social media, whatever it happens to be. We like to know that people are actually listening to us.
Because our whole thing is we're probably watching a movie that someone out there, the average moviegoer, saw 50 times 20 years ago.
Just for instance, last year I watched Jaws for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we're dealing with here.
Yeah. So, kind of every month we do a different theme for our show. Currently, we're recording this in January and we're gearing up for Oscar season. Every single year we cover every single Oscar nominated movie for Best Picture. But I think your audience would also appreciate right after the Oscar season, we go from the glitz and the glamour of Oscars and all the greatest movies of the previous year, and then go right into the gutter.
We do something stupid.
We do something really dumb and stupid. One year we did Stripper Sunday, where we covered a whole bunch of movies about strippers. And last year we did a bad movie series, which you actually contributed to. We did Wild Wild West. We did
The Room,
of course, The Room. What else did we do? Scorpion King.
Yep. I don't remember what the other one was.
There was another one in there too.
There was another one in there. But this year, you're getting inside information.
First access here.
We're going to be doing When Animals Attack.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a lot of movies that feature vicious animals.
Yeah, just use your imagination.
Cujo. Do maybe Primate if you want to talk about one of the new movies that came out.
They will be older movies.
They're older.
Bats,
but all 4, I think, are movies that are new to both of us.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Sweet. Oh, it's going to be fun. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear it. I'm really glad that we found time to make this work. For people that are listening to this, I will say that Betsy and Trent have my favorite, I'm going to say, radio voice when I listen to the show. I think you guys have the best like voice combo when I listen to movie podcasts. So that is my endorsement for the show. And yeah, you guys don't always talk about great movies. You don't always talk about crappy ones. And
there's no like genre that we stick to. It is dramas, comedies, old classic movies, whatever.
What haven't we touched on in a while?
Yeah.
We're always trying to find ways to work more horror in, because when we started, we were like, we don't like horror. And so we started watching and we're like, maybe we do like horror.
To the point where we created our own show on our Patreon,
where we do it all the time.
Which is patreon.com/neverseenitpod. Just get that plug in there.
Right.
We have 5 other shows on there where we talk about movies that are our favorites, because again, our one rule for the main show is we can't talk about a movie we've already seen. We have a show where we can talk about our favorite movies of all time. We also have a show called Real Love, that's REEL Love, where Betsy subjects me to romantic comedies and just romance movies in general. We have a good time doing that. We have a show called The Wayback Machine, where it is literally a randomizer. We have a wheel that we spin once a month, and we go to a random year between 1960 and 2010. 2010. And we watch a movie that happens to be in the theater at that time.
So yeah, we cover all kinds of ground.
Yeah, some of my favorite movies we've covered are just random ones that we did not pick.
Awesome. What the email is neverseenitpod@gmail.com or just never seen it?
You got
neverseenitpod@gmail.com.
Yep. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Blue Sky. You want to send us a message on there? We see them.
Yep.
We'll respond.
Yep. And believe it or not, there are other podcasts named Never Seen It. So make sure to put our names in there.
With
You'll
Betsy
find
and Trent.
Betsy and Trent. That's what you really got to see.
That's what you're looking for. And in full disclosure, it took me like probably a year and a half to realize that you guys haven't seen it, which is another podcast that also they had like, it's like the marquee with the name on it too. Sure, the social media, but it's facing the other direction. And for like a year and a half, I was like, this is all the same person. And it is not.
No, listen, we didn't claim to be geniuses in the marketing department or the creativity.
Well, this is definitely not the only bad movies podcast out there, but
sure.
It might be the best one. I don't know. Okay, well, thank you so much. Yeah, that's true. It's the only one that you've been on, so definitely the best one. But I want to thank you both for your time. I'm really glad, like I said, that we could make this work. I am going to put all that detail into the show notes for people that are looking to get in touch with you. And, you know, weather permitting, maybe we can do this again for another bad movie you love.
Oh, I would love that. I know we still have a few that we could pull out of the hat. Yeah. But we have to see what else people have already covered, because that's the other thing. You don't want to talk about the same movie 50 times unless maybe you do.
Also, we still got to do a whole nother episode on In Time again.
Yeah, there you go. I just discovered that you did one of my favorite bad movies that I also saw in the theater, Queen of the Damned. And I just started to listen to your episodes about that.
That is one where I was like, I need to learn to manage my time on the podcast better, because this is a 4-hour long conversation and I'm going to have to fit this in somehow. So that was a learning experience, but it was a lot of fun. And it was really cool to go back and see that movie from that era. And for some reason it was like that. And then League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I was like, why am I in Stuart Townsend mode for some reason? Those movies are the cosmic cousins, right?
We always talk about what the hell happened to that guy.
Yeah.
He should have been a bigger star.
Yeah, he probably should have been, but maybe Queen of the Damned ruined it for him. Just like this with Justin Timberlake. He should have been a star. Roger Ebert said it, and it was like, no, sorry, sir.
Now he's destitute somewhere.
And now it ruined the world tour.
Yeah, this movie ruined his acting world tour.
About the tour?
Sorry, JT. You know, we had to. But thank you so much. Have yourselves a very good evening.
Thank you.
A big thanks to Betsy and Trent for coming on the show. I'm really glad that we could finally find time to make it work, because this is a movie that I think deserved to be revisited. And it's one of those movies where I think it's brimming with potential, and those movies are always really fascinating to talk about. And if anyone listening to this actually wants to develop a miniseries based on this concept, I mean, you heard it here first, so it'd be nice to get some credit, but honestly, just make it happen. If you want to hear more of Betsy and Trent, make sure you look for Never Seen It Podcast with Betsy and Trent. I put the link tree up for them in the show notes, so all you got to do is click one place, and it'll show you everywhere that you can find them. If you are interested in spending even more time together by becoming a contributing member, make sure to take a look at the show notes, because sign-up details and the sign-up link are both in there for you. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we still have more things than usual on deck for the rest of January. There's still a new episode of the show coming up on Monday, Virtuosity. There's also a new Filmmaker in Focus episode that's coming out. There is also a rom-comathon episode that is coming out. There is also the first Bad Movies Monthly. And there is still the 2025 Bad Movies We Love wrap-up episode, taking a look at all the bad movies that I saw from 2025 and telling you which ones I think are worth watching. If any of those things sound appealing, make sure that you tune back in through the rest of January and the rest of 2026. I know time is valuable, no pun intended, so thank you for spending your time listening to Bad Movies We Love. Until next time, stay safe, be good, do good, watch movies. Take care, everybody.